Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. We got an awesome episode lined up today. The topic is the power of storytelling in business, and it's going to be a unique twist on storytelling and business. I know there's been some books that come to mind that I can think of around this topic, but I'm quite confident our guest is going to have a different take on the topic. So let's bring him on. Dan Grech, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for the opportunity.
So we all know what storytelling is. I think you can redefine our perspective, of course, but we all know what a story is. But you want to talk about storytelling in the context of business. So what's the little spin you're putting on storytelling in business that's different?
Yeah, well, we are storytelling animals, and so business is a human-to-human endeavor, and the way that businesses we do business with people we like and trust, and so for age immemorial, we have connected with people through storytelling, and I think in the age of digital marketing, in the age of AI, we may have lost a little bit of sight of this. If you think back to small businesses, the neighborhood coffee shop where the owner, the butcher, the bread shop owner, even the local bodega, you have a relationship with the owner. A little bit about their story, and oftentimes they've been doing this for several generations, and you trust them that they're doing things well and for the right reasons. And this translates perfectly in the digital realm and even in the AI world. And so that's really what I run a training academy in marketing, AI-powered digital marketing. And at the foundation of all of it is what we call your business story, and telling that loudly to attract your ideal customer, and has a whole bunch of other benefits as well.
Yeah, I'm curious because obviously I want to hear about the business story, and I want to dive into that. But you brought up AI in marketing, and I've seen sort of a trend, if you will, or a pattern where since people have adopted AI and we've been using it, whatever it is, ChatGPT, Gemini, it's really good at spitting the facts and features and benefits of our product and service. But we've gotten away from the storytelling and the connecting from human to human. Have you seen that same trend over the past couple of years with the common user? Let me just delineate the difference there.
Yeah. Even before AI kind of hit the scene with November 22's release of ChatGPT 3.5, even before that, I would experience going to a small business owner's website and there was no human being anywhere to be found. And it was as if this product or service didn't have any people behind it. In contrast to that, one of my favorite business stories is a bagel shop in Pennsylvania called the Greater Need, KNEAD. And it's a gluten-free bagel shop. And right on the front, the chief bagelologist, the CEO, tells the story about how she has family members with celiac, and that they loved to eat and literally break bread together. And so she came up with this recipe for gluten-free bagels, and that was the foundation of this business. And her personal story, her photograph, and even her mission as a bagel, she's part of the free from movement, which is a food movement, free from certain chemicals, free from certain things like gluten. It's like a movement in food. And so she's not selling bagels. She's selling, an ability for you to break bread with your family in a safe and healthy way. She's selling, she's part of a larger movement of healthier eating. that's called the Free From movement. Like these are all the things. She's not just a bagel seller. And so her bagels are way more expensive than the bagels you might get at the local shop, but people buy them anyway. And in part, it's because they want to be part of her movement and because they really feel alignment with her story. That's the contrast. And that's existed long before AI. AI is making it worse. Why? Because AI, by definition, especially if you don't know how to use it, creates generic content. It creates content that's in the voice of the internet. And it uses information that it got off the internet. Now, it's a better writer than most of us are, but it doesn't sound like us. And so you need to train the AI in how to speak in your voice. That means understanding what your voice is. And then you need to train it in your business story, because that story isn't documented anywhere. In fact, many business owners don't even know their own story and why they do what they do. So that's what we do, is we help them uncover their business story, their why they do what they do and why it matters. So there are two components, right? The story of me, and then the core purpose. And then we help them learn how to use AI to get noisy about it. Because once you've trained the AI in your brand voice, once you've trained the AI in your business story, it can do social media content, it can rewrite, it can write blog posts, it can do all this stuff so much faster and better than you can, but only if you train it.
Yeah, we miss that crucial first step so often in a lot of different things, but definitely in this scenario. So when you're working with people, you're trying to understand who they are, why they exist, all these important things in their business. How often do you come across people who, I'm thinking, because I resonate with this stuff and I really love it. I love hearing the human side of business. And then you go and talk to, I don't know, I'll just use a landscaper, for example. And they're like, I just cut grass. I'm here to make money. Like, where's the value? Is this for everybody? Can everybody do this? Is it more of a mindset thing than an actual tactical thing that you are bought into this? Where do you come across people like that?
It's 100% tactical. One of our core values at the company is learn by doing. Like nothing we teach isn't eminently practical. And, let's talk about home services, right? So one of my favorite stories, is about a mosquito pest control guy. His name is Yoel Gutierrez. He runs Mosquito Joe Miami. So not only is he a home services pest control guy, but he's part of a franchise, right? So it's not even his brand. So I sat down with Yoel, who's become a really close friend of mine. And I said to Yoel, why did you choose, of all the different franchises you could run, to run an outdoor pest control company in Miami? Like literally, that is the worst job I could imagine. Going and spraying for mosquitoes outside in South Florida heat, like the worst job. I would rather be like a toll booth attendant, which was like my former worst job, but now outdoor pest control is. So I said, like, if I had like a list, I would definitely pick like Subway or something. Like I would never pick running a franchise in this topic. Why did you do it? And he's like, oh, well, it's got good recurring revenue. And yet, no, I'm like, why did you do it? Why did you pick this of all the other things? And why do you stick with it? And he started talking about his dad. And his dad was named Jose, and he ran a construction business. Like he was an immigrant from Cuba, and he ran like a home construction business, like residential construction. He basically built people's homes. And he had two other partners. And Yoel, there's this really cute picture of Yoel as a little boy out on the construction site with his dad. And his dad said, Yoel, one day you're going to inherit this business. And then Jose, his dad, died when he was 16 years old. And the two partners bought the business from him. So not only did Yoel lose the business, but not lose his dad, but he lost the business. And so Yoel, a smart guy, went into IT and then realized he wanted to be an entrepreneur. He'd been raised to be an entrepreneur. And without really fully understanding it, he picked outdoor pest control. And I say, you realize you're in the same business as your dad. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, both of you were building safe homes that people could enjoy. You're just doing it in a different way. And he's like, my dad was named Jose, but everybody called him Joe. Mosquito Joe is the name of the franchise. It's there, Brandon. It is there, whether you realize it or not. And so a lot of times they're based on stories of trauma, death, tragedy. I would say more than half are tragic. Like my business was started because I got fired and I needed to reinvent myself. And I reinvented myself. I was a journalist, got fired publicly. It sucked. Reinvented myself first as a marketer, then as a teacher of marketing, because I like to teach what I want to learn. And then as a entrepreneur and business owner. And that's really where I found my sweet spot, is as a business owner who helps other business owners grow. But I have a tragic foundation of my story too. But so a lot of the business owners that I talk to, when I like get to the root of it, it's like somebody died. They were abused as a child, and they don't want anyone to ever suffer from that again. One of the most powerful and disturbing examples of this is the most successful client in BizHack Academy's history is a woman who runs a daycare center in inner city Miami, whose son nearly bit off his tongue when he was 1.5 years old due to lack of care and attention in the babysitting center. And she's like, I don't want anyone, and like he spent the rest of his life, learning how to speak. And she's like, I don't want any mother to ever have to go through this again. She started her own daycare center, and now she has a 2-year wait list because she tells this story and people trust her with their kid. So that tragic story, you need to understand if it's motivating you, and then you can make a decision about whether to share it. But it's there. It's there. And that's the thing. I mean, I've spoken to more than 1,000 entrepreneurs. There's not a single one who doesn't do it for a reason. And how many of them are in touch with that reason? Very few. And that's like my mission in life, is I want to get people thinking about why they do what they do. And, Brandon, I'm curious. I don't know if me telling you these stories sparks anything in you, but you're very dedicated to giving back. Clearly, you wouldn't do Harmonious at Lunch if you weren't. Why do you do this work? Why are you motivated to do it? I imagine it's more than for a paycheck.
It's definitely not for a paycheck because the podcast isn't monetized. So it's definitely not for the money. But for me, yeah, every one of my business ventures has come from the core mission of wanting to help small business owners grow their businesses, provide for their families, and not struggle, which for me was inspired by more trauma. My first business, the first, I want to say, year or so of it was, I was working the classic entrepreneur story, right? I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I missed time with my kids. I missed time with my wife. And I figured out a way to get out of that and to build a business that was monetarily successful and didn't require my time. I went from working 80 hours a week to 3 to 5 hours a week and having employees, teams in place to run it in my absence. That's when I decided to move forward. And that has fueled my passion to give that back to other people. I've gone through, I've built a franchise out of that company that I didn't end up pursuing, but that's still that root mission of wanting to give back other entrepreneurs and business owners, give their time back, give them their lives back, has inspired every other business venture since that very moment. So I think, yes, that's what it brings up in me. And I've also seen the flip side of that, where I see the people who refuse to go down that path and acknowledge the why or the real reasons behind why they got in business. And that's why I asked you the question that I asked just a minute ago, because for me, it's very clear. For you, it sounds like it's very clear. And those two beautiful examples you gave, like, it is crystal clear for those people. But it's interesting because the ones who never stop because they know they're working for something or for somebody else, kind of like you and me, it's very clear. The other ones, I don't know how they get out of bed in the morning and pursue when the times get hard, so to speak.
Yeah. So a couple thoughts. First of all, you did a beautiful job, Brandon, of doing what we call and what we teach in our courses called the story of me and the story of us. The story of me is, I had a nightmare business. It was taking me away from my family. I figured out how to solve it, and I want to solve it for you too. That's the story of us. And if we had more time, I would be asking, well, why is it important for you to share your secrets, right? Like, who taught you, right? Did you have a mother or a cousin or a mentor who made you want to be a mentor to other businesses? And I'll speak about myself for a second. My why is to learn and then teach others, share with others what I learned. So to learn and to share with others what I learned. That's like everything I've done, from when I was a journalist to now as an an instructor and the runner, the entrepreneur and business owner. Like, I don't like learning things and keeping it to myself as closely guarded secrets. I feel compelled to share it. And the reason why is, for 3 generations, almost every single person in my family has been a coach or teacher. So every conversation at every dinner table was a coaching or teaching conversation. I can remember my mother was an inner city art teacher in Philadelphia, teaching art to underdog subject to underdog students. And I would go in, I lived in, the nice suburbs outside of town, and would go in and see her. And she just felt compelled to share her privilege with folks who had less. And it's just, that's what motivates me, to share, to do this. And the truth is, there are easier ways to make money. And I've turned away so many opportunities to make a lot more money because it just wasn't aligned with who I am. Now, you asked the question, why aren't more people aware of this? In the case of Yoel and Mosquito Joe, he didn't understand that that's why he does pest control. He just felt maybe inexplicably drawn to it. The financials were good. He's a pretty technical minded guy. So there were other reasons that factored into it. But there's this sentimental part. Like, for me, pest control is pest control. They're all Me Too businesses, and this is the big challenge. And almost every small business is a Me Too business. So from a very practical perspective, from a marketing perspective, you want to tell your story because it's practically the only thing to differentiate you from the competition. So that's like where I started in this journey. Is I got like business owners to recognize their best marketing was talking about why they do what they do and how they make the world a better place. And people are willing to spend more money on businesses like that because they want to support Main Street and they want, local flavor, and they love knowing the owner. And if they are aligned with the owner, they're going to do business with you. But then what I came to realize is just how much deeper it went, because why you do what you do and how it makes the world better is not just about attracting customers, but it's about attracting staff, attracting partners. It's about creating a mission that others can join. And it's also about helping you through the hard times, the inevitable hard times. And the truth of the matter is, these guys persevere, Brandon, even if they don't know it, because of this why. It's there. It's just not articulated. And it's like, I like to say that like a business story is a precision instrument, but you've got to name it first. Once you've named it, then you can use it, and you get to choose who you share it with and how much. You don't have to go open kimono. That's a personal decision. I would never, but not identifying it and not naming it, I think that's malpractice. It's actually risky because then you don't really know what you're up to as a business owner.
I fully agree. I couldn't agree more. And I'm curious, in the case of Mosquito Joe, because you mentioned that's a franchise, this can't be on the homepage of the website. For Yoel, how did you advise, and how does he share this story to attract clients, attract partners, attract employees, all of those things you mentioned? How does he get his story out?
Yeah. So there are layers of sharing, right? Layer one is your immediate family, your closest mentors, your therapist. Well, first to yourself, right? Admitting it to yourself, recognizing it in yourself. Then there's that layer. So he's shared this story with all of his co-franchise. Then there's partners and staff, right? So he shared it with all of his co-franchisees. He uses this story in the recruitment process. It's front and center. He talks about it in his staff meetings and so forth. And then the last level, and the level that most people go to first, and which is it's in his bio, and he does share it in speeches he gives, but it's not, as you said, the first thing that they put out there. But what it has done for him is he has grown his franchise to be the largest top 5 franchises Mosquito Joe in the country, and the largest single territory in the entire 365. No, mosquitoes are a year-round problem in Miami, so he has some advantages there. But he's built a multi-million-dollar business, and he's built it on the people he's hired. And the people he hired, because that's always what you build a business on. And the people he's hired and the people he's partnered with know that story.
That's incredible. It's so powerful, and we could unpack this for 6 more days, I'm sure, but we can't, but you can at least help the audience and the listener if they want to learn more. Where can people go to learn more about you, about BizHack, and everything you got going on?
Yeah. So this strategy of identifying your business story to help generate leads and grow your business faster is the foundation of all of our training. And you can learn more about that at bizhack.com. You also can follow us at BizHack Academy. And we have a lot of free training talking specifically about the business story and giving you many, many examples of it on our YouTube channel at BizHack Academy.
Awesome. I appreciate that. All of those links will be down below wherever you're watching and listening. So don't worry about that. But Dan, I want to thank you so much for being here and for just scratching the surface of this conversation. I wish more people could hear this story because it's really powerful when you incorporate this in running your business. So if you haven't already, please go follow Dan. But Dan, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. And thanks for all that you're doing on behalf, we share a mission,
I agree.
and I gotta ask, because I'm so curious, who taught you to care about the small business owner and the underdog? Like, is there someone in your life growing up that made you care about helping others, sharing what you learned?
That's a good question. It's not one that I've necessarily thought about, but there is a pattern over the course of my life of rooting for the underdog. I if I'd have to sit down and really think about if it was a person or if this was more of it's like a nature nurture conversation, right? Or if this is just ingrained in me. But I always do pull for the underdog. And I just have this belief that small business owners are the underdog. We're the backbone of the economy, but we don't have all of the resources necessarily at our fingertips that we could or should have. And it's just my passion to make those available to people.
Do you have a story from your childhood of you rooting for the underdog, or like standing up for the underdog, or sharing?
I
Does
think the
anything
most
come?
obvious would just be sports teams. I never had like an allegiance to any one team, with the exception of it was always the underdog. It was always the team that wasn't supposed to win. I'd be like, I want those guys to win. Those
Yeah.
are the most obvious ones that pop up, and everyone would be like, "Who are you rooting for?" And it would change year over year. Like, who's the one that's not supposed to win? I want that team to win, and that's kind of why I'm saying I that's a theme I can just
Yeah.
recognize over the course of my life.
So Brandon, you're at the exact place of many business owners who've unpacked some of it, but not all of
Mm,
it. And
yeah.
here's my invitation to you: bring me back. I promise you, I guarantee you, go talk to your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your wife, talk to people in your life, and just start, and even just meditate on the question, why do I care so much about the underdog? And if nothing else, I guarantee you'll find a story of when you stood up against the bully in school, and then you should tell that story, because that is at the essence of what you're up to. And so anyway, that's what I do, is I coach this out of folks. And I have never, even in myself, there's a journey that goes sometimes years long of like unpeeling this onion, of realizing, oh, that's why I do this. So anyway, that's your little homework assignment. But I really appreciate that you're not totally sure about it, because most of your listeners aren't either. And so it's really, the exercise that we teach is just called the why chain. Why is that important to you? Why does that matter? And you just keep asking why, and you get to that root cause. And there is nothing that we do in our lives that we weren't taught to care about through positive or negative example before we graduated from high school.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is fantastic. We have 270 some odd episodes at this point. Only one, I think, repeat guest off the top of my head. It looks like Dan's going to be the second one. And he did it on the show. So kudos to you. I love it, Dan. No, seriously, this was fantastic. I do want to have you back. And I will go do my homework. I didn't think I'd get homework from running my own podcast, but look at this. Everything changes, right?
Well, it's great
Um,
talking to you. Thank you. I look forward to being a repeat. This was great.
Same here. For those of you watching, listening, wherever you are, like we said before, everything you need to know is down in the show notes. Go click around, see how you can contact Dan, and do this for your own business. I'm going to do my homework. You do yours, please, and make sure you subscribe. That's your homework as the listener from this episode. If you do nothing else, at least come back. I am going to continue this mission to put out 5 episodes a week so we can help you build a more harmonious business and life. And we'll see you on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Thanks for listening.